Hey y'all, today on the farm we just spread the first post-emergent fertilizer on the corn, and we're about to spray it with Roundup and atrazine to keep it super clean. I am using a 24-row boom sprayer on this little tractor. It's toting 400 gallons of water, and to make that work we had to leave the loader on the front of the tractor and put a full set of weights, because with that amount of boom and that amount of water, the front wheels of the tractor are off of the ground. With the loader and the weights, the front wheels of the tractor are light, but there's enough contact that I can still steer it and we can still get things done. Because of the speed at which I have to travel to get the right gallons per acre, and because of the massive amount of weight on the rear, the GPS cannot drive the tractor. However, it can help me count the rows. So on the end, when I'm turning around, I'm not having to count all these rows up, forgot where to turn in at. I look at my screen up top and it shows me the road. That helps me get lined up and get headed back the other way. Perhaps when the tank is closer to empty, it will drive a little bit when there's less weight on the back. But right now, if I turn the wheel loose, there's so much weight on the back that the computer will have a difficult time driving it. I can drive it much easier manually than the computer can with all that weight and the rate of speed. I'm putting out 10 gallons per acre. I'm running 8.5 miles an hour, and I'm trying to keep the PSI set on 30. So I have to adjust that as the tank gets lower. You got to bump the pressure here, keep the pressure where you need it at. Keep the PSI right. If the PSI gets too high or too low, we'll be putting out the wrong amount. So we keep an eye on the pressure and the speed. And you got a full-time job in this little tractor trying to manage this 24-row sprayer. We got a good bit of wind out here today, so I need to keep my booms as low as I can to the ground, because if they're up high with this wind, that spray just blows away. So we want to get it as low as we can so we can get it to the ground before it blows away. But one issue you run into on a boom sprayer, with booms that long, you get a little bit of, the boom hangs down a little lower on the tip than it does in the middle. I mean on the end than it does in the middle. And so, and there's a lot of play in it. So as I'm going across unlevel ground, it's doing this. And if I get it too low, those outside tips hit the ground. You don't want to do that. So it's a battle all day to keep it low enough that the wind don't blow the spray away, but high enough that that long way out there on the end of that boom tip isn't hitting the ground and getting knocked off. You hit the ground, it can break the tip or it can stop the tip up. And so constant battle to keep the height just right in this wind. I just filled up my second tank. While I'm riding back to my spot where I left off in the field, I'm going to explain to you how this boom sprayer works. I have a master on-off right here that cuts on my left. I have separate left, center, and right boom controls, so I can cut on the master selection here, then select which booms. In this case, all of them. When I get around doing like an end rows, going around the edge of the field, I cut off the left boom or the right boom and turn and go around the side of the field. But while I'm doing the rows, got all three boom selections on, I can adjust my pressure right here. And then you see this bay of switches. If I engage my first hydraulic on constant flow, I can then use that bay of switches to fold out the booms. One switch folds out one boom on one side, one switch picks it up and down, and the third switch on that side extends the last arm, and then there's three more for the other side. So it's a little bit of a complicated setup. It takes a lot of switches. It's not easy to on the fly. It's right there when I'm riding. If one of the arms goes to touch the ground, it's not easy to engage this and pick up on the arm while I'm steering. So what I'm doing in that case, when I'm on some unlevel ground out there, one arm's lower than the other, I'm picking up on the whole lift, picking the whole thing up a little bit, just enough to clear the ground on the low arm, and so that the high arm, the arm on the other side, is way up 6 feet in the air. You have to watch that. If you're on unlevel ground or hitting a bump or something, one arm may be touching the ground, but the other arm may be 5 foot off the ground. You don't want that. You don't want the arms way up in the air, because then the spray just blows away. So a little bit of a battle to keep everything low and level and keep it running like it's supposed to. The reason we are spraying out here today is there's a little bit of coffee weed out here in patches. It's not solid, but here and there there's some little patches of baby coffee weed. A little bit of Texas panicum, I've been told. I hadn't seen it, but I've been told it was out here by my consultant. And there's an occasional baby tiny morning glory. And that is a big problem in corn. A corn combine can do a lot of things. It can get out here, it can chew up all this big, tall, 10-foot corn stalks, get all the corn off the cob. It can harvest wheat, it can harvest soybeans, grain sorghum. It can do all them things. But a morning glory vine will stop a combine in its tracks. A combine cannot handle morning glory vines. Little bitty tiny vines, smaller than a number 2 pencil in diameter, but they can be 6 or 8 feet long. They'll wrap around that corn stalk, and when they get to the head of that combine, they will give you all kinds of bad news. So we have to make sure there are absolutely no morning glories whatsoever in this corn, because we can't harvest it with morning glories. So got to keep it super duper mega clean out here. And once the corn gets big enough, it will shade the ground out and help out with keeping it clean. But until it gets big enough to shade the ground out, we cannot allow any weeds whatsoever in the field. That way, it'll be easier to harvest. In some of my videos last year, or in one of the shorts, you may have seen a larger sprayer, and that is my brother-in-law's sprayer. He uses it. He farms a lot more acres than I do. Now that I'm farming on my own, I don't need a large sprayer, because the amount of acreage that I'm doing, I'm a one-man show for the most part. My dad does come help out from time to time, but with the amount of acres it takes to support one man and his family, I don't need a giant sprayer. I can spray this whole farm, every acre I got, in maybe 2.5, 3 days with this 24-row sprayer, getting after it. So having a huge sprayer really isn't necessary. I do think it would be cool to find a really good spray coupe. I've always liked the spray coupes. One of my neighbors has a spray coupe, and he likes it as well. You can hook it behind your pickup truck. They have a tongue on the front of the spray coupe, so you can tow it behind your truck, so you have your truck and your sprayer there together, which is handy because right now, if I move my tractor over to this field where my well is, then somebody has to take me back to get my truck. So I'll have a truck and a tractor. And so you have to deal with that sort of thing. With a spray coupe, I wouldn't have to do that, but for at least this year, and if not a few more years, this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna use this 24-row boom sprayer, and we'll cover all the ground. And if I see a good deal sometime in the future on a good used spray coupe, that's what I'm looking for. I don't, like I said, I don't need one of those giant sprayers, but something roughly this same boom size but self-propelled would be nice. That way I wouldn't tie up this tractor. I use this tractor for several things, and if it's got this big boom sprayer on it and all these monitors and different things, that kind of limits the uses of the tractor. It would be better if this tractor was open for other things at sometimes, but for now this is the way we do it. Well, that's it for today. We got this field fertilized and sprayed. I did not fertilize it. I hired that out. Got a local guy named Keith Poole come out here and spread the fertilizer. He did a great job with it. And I fell in behind him with this spray rig and got all the herbicide out on the corn. But man, it's 7:40 Saturday night. It's been a long Saturday, y'all. I'm ready to lay it down for a minute. Gotta start this irrigation up though before we call it a day. Gotta get this fertilizer watered in. The part of the field next to the irrigation was done when I first started, so it's had plenty of dry time, so you don't have to worry about the water washing the chemical off. So, almost done for today. Just gotta cut the water on, but I thank all y'all for watching, and I hope to see you next time.